Good morning and welcome to your favorite sport program on TV, Plus Sport. We have to apologize for coming a little bit behind schedule. But let's go straight to our guests waiting for us. We have two guests. First and foremost, let me introduce Enitan Obadina, a seasoned sport journalist who is starting the show with us. Good morning, Enitan.
Good morning, Muda. It's a pleasure to be on your show.
Yes, joining Enitan also is far away from Florida, a professor. Professor Sadiq Abdullahi is a seasoned sport administrator, a former tennis player, and his contribution for sport in Nigeria is enormous. So you're welcome, Professor Sadiq.
Thank you for inviting me, Mother.
Okay, let's start home in Lagos where we have Enitan. Enitan, the death of Pele changed so many course of discussion. Starting from our topic, we ain't supposed to start with the death of Pele, but such a great icon has left this part of the world. Tell us what we need to know more about the legendary Pele.
Uh, so much to say about Pele, if you ask me, but I think one of the most iconic things, one of the most iconic things you find about him is a young black kid in the 50s. If you understand how the world works in the 50s, through research and of course through available documents, you understand how big it was to have a 17-year-old kid becoming the face, the global icon for a sport of football that was on the rise at the 1958 World Cup, where he shone like a million stars, scoring right from the quarterfinal, an hat-trick in the semi-final, and of course a brace in the final to lead Brazil to their very first FIFA World Cup alongside the famous Garincha. And since then, football was never the same for Pele because he turned it all around. Everybody in the world wanted to know this young boy who also by chance was playing for a very small team, Santos, and later from a small team, Santos became a big team. So it was fun to learn about this man and what he has done for football, his skill set, what people said about him. I remember the famous quote by the Benfica goalkeeper Cesara, who talked about when they played the Intercontinental Cup. That's the what we have as World Club Cup in today's football between Benfica and Santos. And he said before the game, he had a plan to stop Pele, and after the game, he was undone by a man he feels is not from this planet. That's how big Pele is. People talk about Messi, but for people who watch Pele, they think of him as the greatest footballer that ever done the pitch. He was excellent. His ability on the ball. It was funny enough. He wasn't that tall, 5.8 inches, but he could jump as high as what you have of Ronaldo nowadays, and he could hit the ball with both feet. That was how excellent Pele was. It was like people in Brazil describe him a gift, and it was so special for the people of Brazil that the federal government of Brazil had to stop him from going abroad to play in Europe, and that's why sometimes some of the argument you have with most of football fans nowadays will tend to tilt to more of the Messi and the Ronaldos. But because he was declared a national treasure by the Brazilian government and he could not play in Europe. But despite that, the Brazilian Football League was very competitive. They beat top European teams in two Intercontinental Cup finals they played, and it was excellent. And of course, one of the people also argue about the World Cup that he didn't do well, and that was the '66 World Cup. He was kicked in the first two games against Bulgaria. He was almost kicked out of the pitch, and people would have not just got to the red card for such kicking. Now in modern football, they would have been banned extra. So it's that special. Pele turned the face of football from an ordinary sport to a global sport.
That's well said. Now let's go to the professor, Professor Sadiq. How did you receive the news of the death of Pele? How did you receive it? And what does it mean being a sport administrator?
Absolutely, we're shocked. Our condolences to the family. Over here in the U.S. and around the world, Pele meant a lot to us. Growing up in the 70s, I witnessed when he visited Nigeria and then traveled around the country. As a little kid, I have always followed Pele. He was not only a footballer, he contributed outside of football, did a lot for Brazil, and then mobilize and synthesize Brazil, the youth, to take up sports and education. And he has contributed a lot, to promoting sports generally. So here we are mourning the GOAT, as we call him here. We know the debate is out there, but still we are really mourning him here in the US and around the world.
Okay, now, what does this mean now? I mean, you probably have watched his games outside football. We're told, Professor, that Pele is bigger and larger than life. Can you just say at least one of those things he has done beyond him just being a footballer?
Well, I mean, yes, his contributions, especially very profound in Brazil, right? Around the world, especially in the US, right? The soccer was shaped around his contribution, and soccer today in the US is almost ranked in the top 5 in American sports, right? And then globally as well. So we can see a lot of youths now coming up and aspiring, to not only play soccer, they are also in schools and trying to at least follow his footsteps. So it's a good thing. Okay. That yes, he has come, he has conquered, and now he has departed. We have to now continue. Not only football, but sports now should be given priority all over the world, so that on and off the court, there's always going to be contribution from sportsmen. And we can see Messi also has done a lot following Pele's footsteps in terms of charity contributions. Okay. All over the world.
Yeah, Professor, Enitan, are you still there? We want to go for this special report we have on Pele, and we still have you guys in the house. After the report, we'll now come back to the review of Nigerian sport in 2022. Let's enjoy this report.
Pele, the Brazilian soccer legend who won 3 World Cups and became the sport's first global icon, has died at the age of 82. Pele was admitted to a hospital in Sao Paulo in late November for a respiratory infection and for complications related to colon cancer. Last week, the hospital said his health had worsened as his cancer progressed. For more than 60 years, the name Pele has been synonymous with soccer. He played in 4 World Cups and is the only player in history to win 3, but his legacy stretched far beyond his trophy haul and remarkable goal-scoring record. Pele was born at St. Arantes do Nascimento in Três Coraças, an inland city roughly 155 miles northwest of Rio de Janeiro, in 1940, before his family moved to the city of Bauru in Sao Paulo. In 1958, he made his World Cup debut at the age of 17. He scored Brazil's only goal in the country's quarter-final victory against Wales, then netted a hat-trick in the semi-final against France and 2 in the final against host Sweden. Pele will always be remembered for the great moments over his career, his goals, and of course, titles.
Because one more time, we came here to the peace, to talk about the peace. Today we have a lot of problems in the world, and then we get together through this sport to talk about it.